Hello, this is Tony Robinson. I just want to share some information with you on our upcoming benchmarks. Um, our benchmark window will open up on following day 45, which is October the 9th. We will have as much time as you need, but usually it doesn't take more than a week or maybe 7 days to get that underway. So if there's more time needed, we can accommodate that. But anyway, the benchmark window will open up on October the 9th. One of the things you need to do before we get started with this to make sure you check your Power School account to ensure that everything is ready for benchmark assessments. And this is just an example that make sure that you have eligible courses, even though you probably don't have test sessions yet until it's set up. Just make sure that you have the opportunity to have those tests set up in your benchmark accounts. And if not, then you can let me know and we can make some adjustments to that. A couple of things I need to let you know about benchmarks. They are formative assessments. They will inform you where your kids are relative to the content that you've taught. If there's things that you haven't taught, obviously they're not going to know that, but this is basically about pacing and what you've taught. So the importance of that is letting you know where they are at that particular time at day 45. Some people are still concerned about the pass rate, but the pass rate is irrelevant. More important information about benchmarks would be your percentile rank, and this chart here shows you some information you can look at. That percentile rank, what it does is it compares the scores of your students with others in their CIP consortium. At this time, there's probably about 36 school divisions that are participating, which is more than 25% of the school divisions in Virginia. But this is some chart from last year's benchmark, first quarter benchmarks. The pass rates you can see here for English 2 was a 60% pass rate. That was at the 75th percentile. So really what you want to do is look at your percentile ranking and compare that to others. So as you look down this list for English 2, 3, 4, and 5, you can kind of see where the scores were, and even with the 72 was at the 45th percentile. So you want to be in that higher end of that percentile ranking. So as you move through that, you can compare your percentile rank of your students. Because we've done this before, you can compare the percentile rank of your students from this year, from previous years to the current year. And you should anticipate growth, and you want to communicate this to your students as an expectation. And usually what they're going to do is they're going to respond to a challenge in a positive manner. So you could say, this is where we want to try to get our percentile rank this year because this is what students from last year had. Some of the most important things you need to do with benchmarks as soon as possible, review with your students the questions that were on the assessment. And the first questions that they missed, you want to make sure that you remediate as soon as possible. And if it's one student or more multiple students. So for example, if you have 20 kids in your class and 10 kids missed a question, then it may be the way that you presented that information as to if they got it right or not. So you want to try to make sure that they are able to get the information, and the way that you ask your questions is important too. So when this type of intervention is done, that's basically you're differentiating your instruction for all of your students. A strategy that you can use is spiraling. Most of you are familiar with spiraling, but spiraling takes place when you have previously introduced and taught information that resurfaces regularly throughout the school year. So if you have information on this first quarter benchmark that kids miss, you want to keep them exposed to that until they were able to master that. So it's not that they're exposed to it only one time on the benchmark test and then you move on. You want to make sure that they're able to master that as they move forward. So they need to be exposed to it as many times as it takes them to master it. Just a couple of things just in closing here. I want to thank you for all those who participated in CIP teachers meetings and benchmark reviews. I hope those help you. And I want to thank you for planning and sharing together. I think that's, we're creating that efficacy with all of our teachers. So I think that's one of the things that's helped us. Also, your caring and knowing your students' needs and those relationships that you're building with your students are going to make a difference. And also your hard work and efforts combined with those of your students, that's been noticed and that's been appreciated. And ultimately that's going to translate into success and continued growth that we have in the county. If there's anything that you need, please don't hesitate to contact me. The email address is here. Most of you, if you have any issues with your Power School account, have let me know. Anything that you would need, please don't hesitate to let me know, and I appreciate that, and thank you for everything that you're doing.